Hey everybody. Let's see what District 4 is doing today. As you see, there's no crime scene tape. I'm on the public sidewalk. Oh yeah, be the change you want to see. Yeah, I want to see massive change in District 4. One, two, three, four vehicles. I'm pretty certain that's Officer Chavez in that truck. Is that Officer Zamora from the lobby? I'm gonna cross the street here. If they think I'm interfering, they can tell me.
I think
That's Officer Chavez in that truck.
you mind hanging back there for a little bit? We got an active investigation right now.
You got an active investigation? How far back would you like me to go?
Just behind that silver car, please. Good thing.
Behind the silver car?
Yeah.
I won't be able to see anything behind the silver car. Can you pick another spot for me?
Right in the middle.
In the middle?
Just behind it.
Behind the silver car and in the middle.
Yes, we're active investigation, so please go over. Nice to see you.
He said I could stand in the middle of the street behind this silver car. Way out of sight. Here we go. So I'm behind the silver car. So there's the sidewalk there. There's the sidewalk there. So if I stand over here, about 3 feet here, I'm behind the silver car. Is it buffering? Everything looks fine to me. I actually would like to speak to the individual that I know is inside of that camper. I wonder why I wouldn't be able to do that if there's no crime scene tape. See, they just like to give orders. Hey, Lucinator. Ellie, is the stream okay? Okay. Thank you, Lucinator. We have 1, 2, 3, 4. I think there's 6 cops here. Funny, there was no cop standing over those people sitting on the sidewalk when I got here. And then all of a sudden, there was. Interesting. Yeah, hey guys, I think that's Officer Zamora there. To the right of that red truck. He was the one working the front window at District 4 that day we were in there recording. So, I don't know. That got stolen vehicle, I suspect. Be nice if they were, recovering someone's stolen vehicle and solving real crime. Not sure it takes 6 of them. But maybe there's only 4. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. There's 5 cops here. Why do I have to be behind this vehicle? Why can't I be behind that vehicle or that vehicle? Seems to me that the active investigation is that red truck. Just stand there and shoot the shit all day. Now this is all District 4, by the way. Here's a transport car. Here's what they took me in on. If you guys want to see. Can you see in there? See all that hard plastic? Oh look, he's got his carrots and stuff. Is he a fit cop or is he a not fit cop trying to get fit? Hey guys, I'm having a hard time seeing the comments. But hey. So, I'm going to do a separate stream. Or maybe we'll do it on this one. And I'm going to talk about everything that's transpired with them arresting me, with there now being an active investigation through internal affairs at the Denver Police Department, because drastic action requires drastic measures, and now the entire Department of Public Safety is involved in the bullshit that District 4 has pulled. And I am calling for official misconduct charges on every cop that's involved in this bullshit. So, of course, the Department of Public Safety has to allow the agency to do their own investigation. I do believe, I feel very strongly that it will be heavily scrutinized by the Department of Public Safety. Because nobody knows why I was arrested. So what the city's going to help the police department do, and I don't mean the Department of Public Safety, I mean the Denver DA's office and the city prosecutor's office. They're either going to get on board with Denver PD, District 4, specifically Detective Joe Sartain and Sergeant Detective Randall Chastain, get on board with attempting to charge me with something. So my case that they generated, he's taking his picture to enter it into that database to search. And you shouldn't really consent to that, but hey. I'm tired of trying to educate people on their rights. You know. So I think, I fully believe, since this new case they created on me is in an investigation hold, I cannot access any court documents, including the probable cause statement for why they arrested me on Tuesday. I have my pretty strong assumptions as to why they did that on Tuesday. And it goes right back to what I said in the beginning about this district creating a case, a pocket warrant, right? We know what those are, to pull out when they could. And their plan fell apart when I figured out that I had a warrant on a Friday prior to a holiday weekend. Their goal was to put me in jail on Friday and then pull out the new case that they were creating, but yet hadn't gotten charges approved for filing. And I was gonna have to sit in jail while all this took place. Then they complicated the process through the ID Bureau, and I know Ellie can speak to some of that. And they made it so convoluted, it took 4 people at the ID Bureau all day to figure out what the Denver Police Department was attempting to do. It got figured out. My bond was posted. Well, I had a PR bond. That story changed 3 times in the jail. So this is, I guess, a stolen vehicle. Here comes the tow truck. So there are a lot of issues with what Denver did on Tuesday by arresting me. And I'm not going to not live my life and live in fear that these fuckers are participating in all this dirty pool. Because if they're going to do it, they're going to do it. But I do want to talk specifically about my jail stay. Because this time, since the Denver Police Department dictated to the sheriff who runs the jail what they will do in terms of taking people to jail, I am now going to shift my focus into a full-on audit. This is where I will become a 1A auditor of the Sheriff's Department, because I'm going to tell you what, between going to jail back in August and now, there's some serious shit going down in that jail that needs to be addressed that will only benefit my homeless friends, who they're filtering through there right now like candy. Because if the Denver Police Department is going to continue to do this and the sheriff has no say over how that jail is to be ran, then we don't need a fucking sheriff. Get rid of him. It's an appointed position. It's not an elected position in the city and county of Denver. We don't need him. If he has no authority to run his jail, which, by the way, it was his jail in the bonding office that initially told me they were not going to do this for the Denver Police Department. Process me, put me in jail for an interference charge, a misdemeanor charge. They told me specifically to go back to the Denver Police Department and get the summons and citation. And shit blew up from there. And Sartain continued to be a fucking moron and hang himself some more. That's all been made very clear. I have a recorded phone call. And by the way, that recorded phone call of Joey Sartain, 30 minutes after I published that, I was in handcuffs. So that's an interesting fact. Yeah, the sheriff is supposed to have the highest authority. Not in the city and county of Denver. That would be the mayor that has the highest unchecked amount of authority and power. And we see what that's resulted in. We're right back to handling homelessness through criminalization. I cannot tell you. Remember, I posted a story the other day on the community page about there being 43 arrests in one day down at Union Station. Yeah, that's great. So you're using drugs in public. Oh, okay. Yeah, let's criminalize you. We're going to send you to jail. You're going to plead guilty to the charge, and the judge is going to tell you will complete a program, and she'll suspend the 10-day sentence. And when you don't complete the program, she'll reapply the 10-day jail sentence and put a warrant out for you. Okay, great. Well, let's do that with 300, 400, 500 people and see where we get with that. The war on drugs, aka the primary war on the homeless. So where are the people that were sitting on the sidewalk? Okay, they're still there. So they're going through that vehicle. So if this guy is only being detained and being questioned, why did they take his picture? Why did he consent to that? Well, because they're keeping a database, and you should never allow government to keep a database on you. Exercise your rights. You guys didn't know you were going to need to do that before the tow truck came? Back and forth. Yeah, I think you probably need to move these cars. These guys. Look at him try to organize their way. He's really... Okay, they've accomplished absolutely nothing. Here comes the tow truck. Come on, you guys. Do you need some help organizing your way out of a box? He's asking him if he's got room. Does it look like he has room? Don't yell at him too loud, Regan. Don't get all butthurt. Chavez asks, do you have room? To the tow truck driver. Does this look like he has any room? Even if he's going after that car back there? Okay. He has room. You don't want to back too far up. So, both of these vehicles are stolen. Okay, well, I'm gonna go sit in my car because the person I actually need to talk to is over there, and now I have to wait while, they complete their active investigation. So let's go to the car and sit in the shade. It's another wonderful day out here. Oh, look, don't forget. Oh, maybe we should, hold on. Let's do this real quick. Let's go do a little protesting on the sidewalk with this. I have gifts for them, but I'm not going to give them any gifts. Remember, what kind of cop are you? Hey, does anybody want to come do an interview with me? Hold on, let's go back here for a minute. Here, watch. I'm just going to hold this up in the air. Here, Chavez is reading my sign. What kind of cop are you? He's going to ignore me. I'm just going to do a little active protest right here in the street. They're laughing. I see them laughing. They're laugh at it. It's a genuine question. I dare any one of you to come over here and answer it. Answer this question. What kind of cop are you? Yeah, see? What kind of cop are you? Hello? Will you come take my quiz? I have a bag of prizes. Yoo-hoo! Yoo-hoo! Oh, this might be distracting them from their investigation. Here, let's wave it over here where we can be certain they see it. Here, let's stand up on the hill. What kind of cop are you? Excuse me! Excuse me, officer! Will you come take my survey? Hey, I'm sorry. They deserve every bit of it. Excuse me, officer, will you come take my survey? Please, what kind of cop are you? Please? Please, I got a prize for you. Damn it. Hey, answer the question. 5 of you there and you don't even want a partying gift? Damn it. All right, let's go back to the car. I tried. Because let's just talk about what went down in the Denver jail. Which, by the way, I have now made 2 calls and sent an email to the Denver Sheriff's Department, to the appropriate email address and phone number where you file complaints and commendations. Do you think a single person has called me back? Or responded? Nope. All right, sign. Back in the car you go for the next mission. Okay, here we go. Now I can see. Hi, everybody. Let me switch glasses. How is everybody today? Hi.
Okay?
Oh, I'm okay.
What happened?
Thank you. Oh, I think they're just towing some stolen vehicles up there.
Oh.
Nothing, I don't think anything happened.
Okay.
Yeah. Okay. All right. Hi, Senorita. Hi, Ivan. How are you? The cop laughed, meaning he's a joke of a cop. That was Zamora that first laughed. If you'll recall, that was Zamora at District 4. My hair's still a little not doing its correct thing today. But anyway, I have to get dressed up every day now because if I go to jail, I have to be prepared for an increasingly excellent mugshot. So If you haven't seen my most recent mugshot, go to my community page, and I'm telling you, I don't toot my own horn very often, but I rocked that shit. I'm just saying, I really rocked that shit. Booker Dooley, I would be great if you were great. I'm great. I really am great. I'm now emotionally and physically recovered. It takes a couple days for me to make sense of these kinds of things when the government wants to steal your freedom from you based on lies and supposed bureaucratic process that allows them to detain you indefinitely. So that's what was going on when I went to jail. Yeah, funny how they always find stolen vehicles where the homeless people are. I know, Ellie. Isn't that interesting? So, and they're the first ones that get questioned. And that's why I'm out here. So, Ellie, are you still here? Because if I forget to talk about anything or forget to highlight some important points, because I know people are interested in what happened the other day when they took me to jail, because I don't want to start completely from the beginning, but the bottom line is Denver District 4, Sartain and Chastain created mass amounts of disdain for honesty in a probable cause warrant that they generated for me from an event back on February 1st, where I was filming the cops that were harassing the homeless in a snowstorm. So if anybody wants to start from scratch, they can go watch that video. And that's what it's called. Denver District 4 harassing the homeless in a snowstorm. So then I did an update after I got the probable cause statement and highlighted all of the lies that were told. They had issued a warrant for me on a Friday, whatever that date was, before President's Day. Okay. They happened to issue that warrant 2 days after a group of us were recording in the District 4 lobby, the 18th. That's when they issued the warrant. We were recording on the 16th. We were exercising our rights, and we were there to do business. So, MA, thank you. Thanks, Sally. Detective Sartain, corrupt as they come. But you know who's even more corrupt than him is that sergeant detective that not only approved that report, but notarized it. Okay. So today when I talked to an investigator from Internal Affairs, he asked me specifically who the individuals were that I take issue with. And mostly it is Chastain, because none of this would have happened. And I have a feeling that he also signed off on the other warrant that they created, their pocket warrant, but I'm not certain yet. But if by all indications, it's the same detective and his supervisor. And here's how I know this. So we got the judge. I didn't get the judge to do it. Somebody did. And it probably came from the Department of Public Safety. Changed the order that was signed for the warrant for my arrest to an order in only, which means I needed to be served the summons and citation. District 4 refused to serve it to me. Nobody arrested me. Nobody even talked to me. Nobody told me anything. And then when I called Joey Sartain to ask him what the deal was, he called me back to tell me that the process was simple, that I just needed to go down to the admin building and work through the ID bureau to get my summons and citation. I knew he was full of shit. I knew that they were brewing a second arrest for me because it was their goal to begin with to have me sit in jail for as long as they possibly could. Again, you have a sergeant detective signing off on this shit that's been with the Denver Police Department since 1986. Fucker, you need to go. And you need to be charged with official misconduct because you could have stopped it. So, my guess is that the DA right now is declining to file charges because had they agreed to file charges, that case would have been approved through the courts and it would be an actual case. But apparently, and this is where I'm unclear, the Denver Police Department has the ability to abuse the system and issue a warrant for someone's arrest when official charges haven't even been accepted to be filed. That's the crux, I believe, and I believe I'm 95% right on this, that's what happened. So on Tuesday, when I called Detective Sartain, because I was out and about doing outreach, and I actually got him on the phone, and you'll hear that phone conversation. He was lying. I knew he's full of shit. I knew something was going to go down. I just didn't know when or how. I wanted to be as prepared as I possibly could. And 30 minutes later, that activist and I made another stop, and you'll see my arrest. It's posted right there, clear as day. But what you don't get to see is that corporal, after he arrested me with that brand new cop he was training, there was some fascinating conversations that took place in the back of that vehicle. And they stopped the recording on my phone when they put me in handcuffs. They kept my phone up front, right on the console between the two of them. And I continued to remind them that they were making a mistake and that they better be sure of what they're doing. Well, long story short, and some chatter about, I'm either going to take you down to the admin building or to the jail, the corporal apparently got the word to take me to the jail. I had to go to the bathroom, really super bad. And so I was pressuring them to make a decision. So how they came to that decision is beyond me, except that I'm sitting behind solid plastic and I'm watching the corporal in the driver's seat slouch down in the corner, having a conversation with somebody down here on something, while this new cop in the driver's seat is trying to learn from him. Isn't that awesome? So we got a brand new cop out here. And this kid was cute as shit. I want to tell you, he was just so cute. You know, I'm a mother of boys, and I just love to see bright-eyed, bushy-tailed young men eager to learn. But holy shit, here we go. And I'm just thinking, yep, this guy, he's learning how to be corrupt. So be nice to him, Regan. Just try to be nice to him for a little bit. So I continued to remind them that they failed to arrest the person that's got a warrant for me for actual assault. They don't respond to any of that. The corporal, I asked him, what are you doing over here today? Oh, the lieutenant wanted us to come tell these homeless individuals they're on private property and they need to move along. Okay, that piece of property has been vacant for, I don't know, 20 years. It's got a for sale sign on it. I highly doubt the Denver Police Department has a trespass agreement with the owner of that property, giving them the authority to be on that property to begin with, okay? Because I asked the corporal, I said, so did you give them written notice or verbal notice? No answer. I said, so did you give them verbal notice on your body cam? No answer. So once again, they're out there, poke, shuffle these people along constantly. They've got nowhere to go. There were no safety hazards. There were no problems with where these people were. But yet the police are determined to solve homelessness. Now, I'll bet if I had the time to go down the rabbit hole on that issue and do a records request, they don't have a trespass agreement. The Denver Police Department does not have a trespass agreement to be on that private property to begin with. Here we go again, violating your oath, trying to interject in shit you got no business interjecting in, and then you get sidetracked by a squirrel because we got to take that woman to jail because I know she's got a warrant because I'm collaborating with the cops from District 4 to take this bitch to jail because she's been out here calling me a fat ass because I am, and I need to get on a treadmill because I'm pretty much a worthless, lazy ass cop. So I'm going to take her to jail today. Well, guess what, Corporal? It's not going to work out in your favor because you are now very much part of that internal affairs investigation. So they're transporting me down to the jail. The ride to the jail involves the corporal telling the new cop how to even get there, how to even get to the entrance of the jail. So he has no clue. He's never even been to the jail. And he's not using his turn signal. I remind him he's not using his turn signal. So then he starts using his turn signal. And I told him, good job. I said, not only does that make you a decent, courteous person, it will make you a better cop. So I'm providing more training than corporal here in the passenger seat. And we get into the jail, and let me back up a little bit. On the way down there, before we got down there, I had seen on the computer screen when I was sitting in the back as Corporal Big Guy is trying to block it with his body from me being able to read it. I see him pull up whatever the Denver Police Department has generated in a probable cause statement for this other pocket warrant. And in it, it talks about public order crimes. And he tells me that. And he says, you're being charged with unlawful conduct on public property. Okay. And in that report, I see a picture of myself that was clearly taken from the District 4 lobby. So they're all bent out of shape because we're exercising our rights in that lobby. They also have an offense date as 12/22, and then they have another offense date for sometime in February. I think it was the 16th. So they're generating this case based on my time in the lobby. And they're going to really get hung up on this one really bad. Again, if they get their shit straight and the DA decides to file charges, if the city prosecutors decide to file charges, they're going to have to go back to the police that tried to generate this case and say, you know what, guys, you better clean it up because here are all your mistakes, which they're probably doing right now. I don't doubt that for a second, because if the city doesn't find something to stick me with on this, they know that once again, they've got an illegal arrest and detainment. Okay. So they're going to nail me with something. I guess we find out on 3/16 because that's my next court date. Okay. So that's what I learned before I got to the jail, and that I already had a $500 PR bond. That was repeatedly said by Mr. Corporal in the passenger seat. You're going to jail with a $500 bond, $500 PR bond. That means that a judge said, you can take her to jail, but she's already releasable by her own personal recognizance. It doesn't say you can take her to jail and hold her indefinitely until you decide to process her. And it is because we've allowed this shit to go on, okay? All these layers and layers and layers of unconstitutional bureaucracy that have become too heavy for even a team of attorneys in a particular state to take on and focus on that, okay? So we've allowed that. The people have allowed it. So I get into the jail, and they were kind enough to take me into an isolation cell in the booking area to allow me to use the restroom where everybody could watch me, right? In the glass and the little half wall that sits right in front of the toilet. But anybody walking by can definitely watch me, as well as the camera up in the corner. Yeah, because, we need to watch women in jail because we're a bunch of fucking creeps. And they are. So I threw a fit about going in there and having to use the bathroom. And all the men, not one woman in that jail, showed her face when I got into that jail. I said to the corporal, I said, where are the women that are supposed to be processing me? No, dude. That's what he said. And put me in that isolation cell. So I needed to use the bathroom. So I used the bathroom, and in the process, here come the men with a whatever it is to roll in front of the blinder, like a hospital divider, and they roll it. and they're going to block me while I'm using the bathroom. Hey guys, maybe you should have told me you were going to take extra steps to ensure my privacy. No, instead, they took the step to make sure to invade my privacy. Yeah, here goes the tow truck. Okay, so I'm assuming active investigation is over. Nobody went in handcuffs. Do a better job, Denver. Catch the car thieves. How about that? So, I used the bathroom, and the corporal had told me prior to putting me in that cell that he would fill me in on everything that was going on with this new warrant that I had. I come out of that isolation cell, and they want to take me back over to booking. So they put me back in handcuffs. I go over to booking, and all of a sudden, there's all this confusion between corporal and the jail staff about me being served the order in only in jail, in booking. That's the previous case. So they all didn't know anything about it, and the cops trying to tell me, you're being served this. I'm like, what is it? I can't see it. I can't sign it. It'll be in your property. Oh, okay. You make sure you put that in my property as well as your business cards. And both cops said they would. Guess what? Full circle, none of that shit was in my property, including the order in only, nor their cards. So back to booking. So they bring a female to pat me down, and she kind of pats me down and makes a joke about, you got anything in your bra? Well, what else would I have in my bra besides what belongs in my bra? I don't know. They're like purses. They hold everything. I said, well, I don't have room for anything other than what's designated for this bra. So she feels the bottom of my bra. And I'm telling these details because they're important and you need to understand why. She never looks at my hair. She never asks me to do anything with my hair, nothing. Sends me on my way. And I gotta wait to get my temperature taken by the medical staff, which I want to say, the medical staff on this particular shift and this particular day was phenomenal. They were phenomenal. Not like they were back in August when they let a man lay in his own vomit and refused to treat him after he'd been throwing up for 24 hours. I heard it all. I saw it all. They refused to treat the man. Okay? This time, there wasn't a lot going on as far as obvious medical needs, but that medical staff was way more attentive, and I'll tell you more why as we go on. Nobody wants to take my quiz. The cops are leaving. I really don't want to talk to any of them. Just leave. Go about your day. You don't want a prize, Chavez? Hang on, let's have a conversation with Officer Chavez. Did you want to take my quiz so you can get a prize?
No, but just want to update you what it was, okay?
Thank you. Did you arrest anybody? Okay.
Well, we'll see you soon.
Thank you for the update. Have a great day.
Bye.
2 stolen vehicles, drugs, guns. No, they didn't. He can't tell me if anybody was arrested because that's an active investigation. Okay, great. Go solve it. Because you don't have a right to steal people's shit. Nobody does. Do you have a right to bear arms and do dope? As far as I'm concerned, yeah. Are you selling people bad dope and killing them? No, you don't get to do that. So, anyway, let's not go down that philosophical rabbit hole. But, yeah, win a binky. He didn't want to take the quiz. He said he didn't have time. Remember, I got chafing cream, got some donut holes in there. I got some pacifiers in there. I got some constitutions in there, the pocket constitution. If you're a good cop and you want to make sure that you remain a good cop, you should want the parting prize of the pocket constitution so you can always refer to it if you're ever in doubt. Had he wanted to take that quiz and show me he was a good constitutional cop, he'd have got a pocket constitution. But your loss, Officer Chavez. Bye-bye. Okay, so Ellie, where did I leave off? In booking. Back to the hair. She didn't do anything with my hair, okay? And that's good. I want you to understand and see the coarseness and the thickness of my hair, okay? And the length, you know, it goes below my shirt and behind my ears, blah, blah, blah. No, they don't deserve any Vagisil. Sorry. Okay, so I get my temperature taken. The medical staff was great. In the jail, they have phones that you can use at will in booking to make your phone call. The Denver jail has long had the ability for you to make phone calls repeatedly in booking. They're collect phone calls, but you can make them. And that's important because booking doesn't book people like they should and give them their one free phone call. They make them sit there for hours and hours and hours with no charges, no ability to leave. And what? You're just going to violate people's rights for hours and hours? This is the bureaucratic bullshit that I'm talking about that we've allowed. So I walk straight from getting my temperature taken right to the phone. I scan the room to see what's going on. I see there's 2 women and the rest are men. There were probably, I don't know, I'm going to say 15 men and now 3 women. I go to pick up the phone and make my call, and it's asking me to enter a PIN number. Well, it's never done that before. So I looked around. I see all of these deputies standing around doing nothing, not helping, not booking any, doing fucking nothing. Okay? So I raise my hand and I see a female over there that's kind of looking my way. I said, "Excuse me, how come I can't make a phone call?" "You need a PIN." "Yeah, I get that. So how do I get my PIN?" "When we book you." "Oh, really? When you decide to book me? Okay, give me my inmate handbook." Well, all hell broke loose from that point on. And I figured that given the history of what Denver did to me last time I was in the jail in August, and knowing what I knew about how intent the Denver Police Department was to make sure I sit in jail, I had nothing to lose, okay, except to be put in an isolation cell, which ultimately, yes, they did. So I proceed to kind of have an argument with this tall woman who ultimately identifies herself as Captain Adcock. Captain Adcock was a sergeant back during the Michael Marshall case when all of those people in booking killed Michael Marshall. Okay? She was a sergeant at the time, and now she's a captain. There are 2 very notorious cases out of that Denver jail: the Michael Marshall case and the Marvin Booker case. If you're so inclined, go Google it. You should really be educated on the history of the Denver jail and how the Office of the Independent Monitor became a thing here in Denver. It is a big deal. Okay, so I'm dealing with Captain Adcock. She proceeds to tell me that they have no internet, Wi-Fi, I think she was referring to. We don't have any way to process people, so we don't know when you're going to get your PIN number to use the phone. Bullshit. You think I'm going to sit quiet with that? No. So between her and her sergeant, Sergeant Kellick, I kept asking them for my inmate handbook. They refused to give it to me. They hadn't booked me. They didn't give me access to understand my rights while they held me indefinitely with no charges or no processing. So this went on for 3 hours in booking, okay? They finally decided that it would probably be in their best interest to get me booked and fingerprinted so they could process me and get me out of there before all of those inmates in that entire jail became educated. Because let me tell you, everyone in booking became educated super quick. So after they processed me, where did I go? Right to an isolation cell for 6 hours. 5 hours, my apology. Wherein I spent 3 hours in active protest. I gave them 2 hours to process me while I sat in that isolation cell. And then I participated in a very active protest while sitting in that isolation cell. But I want to tell you why the medical staff was great. During your booking and all that process, you go in there and they ask you all these questions, right? If you go in there and you tell them that you're suicidal or all these other kinds of things, it has long been the history, they'll isolate you, blah, 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 blah. They ask you if you have violent tendencies towards others. Some of the mentally ill may really reveal that they do and that being in jail agitates them or whatever. So I do think the process is genuine, but should it and can it be trusted all the time? Hell no. But if you are on medication, if you are detoxing, whatever, the jail is required to take care of you. And they leave people sit in booking hours and hours and hours before they ever talk to you in medical. Tell me how and why people die in jail. So it was almost 3 hours before I got into medical, but the lady in medical was thorough. I answered the questions appropriately. And she finished by saying, in here, it's very important that you stay hydrated and that you wash your hands regularly and keep them away from your face. I have medical background. Let me tell you, I knew this nurse was on the up and up. Okay. She couldn't have been more correct, except they don't allow you to drink unless you stick your mouth on a malfunctioning fucking faucet or go in the bathroom and stick your mouth on a faucet. They don't give you cups. Okay. And so I'm glad she reminded me of that, because I said to her, you know what? I actually do. I have a kidney issue and I need to drink water to keep myself where I need to be. So I do need access to be able to drink right now. And she said, would you like water or Gatorade? I said, Gatorade, of course, because that's the best type of replenishment you can get. And so she said, sit here and drink this Gatorade. She gave me a paper cup because I can't allow you to take the cup over into booking. Okay. So I did. I drank that Gatorade. And I went back and they finished processing me and took me into that isolation cell. So after about 3 hours of that active protest, I'd asked for an inmate handbook from people that walked by my door. I'm going to guess about 20 people. Some of them claimed to be supervisors. Some of them went back to talk to the guard that was supposed to be watching my cell and came back and tried to taunt me. Okay. Most of them refused to identify themselves. When in doubt, and you're going to jail and you need to jot down names and badge numbers, always get your nails done promptly before going to jail and keep your shape similar to this so you can etch their names in the paperwork that you're given in booking. Okay. I got a list of names. I'm trying to file a complaint. I've been trying to file a complaint for 2 days now. I told them in my message that I left, make sure to preserve all video footage at my cell during these times. Still don't have a call back. never got an inmate handbook, okay? No one could tell me when the fuck I was getting out of there. I hollered for 3 hours, indefinite detention. You're violating my rights. Give me my inmate handbook. I cussed some people out. I called some people pieces of shit because they were. What did I have to lose? I'm going to sit in an isolation cell. I asked for material to be able to lay down because I was going to have to spend the fucking night there. I was denied that. I was denied every single thing I asked for. I told them they were denying me food and drink. My guard went and got me another bag, a lunch bag that you're offered when you come in with the 2 pieces of bread and a milk carton. He went and got 2 of those for me eventually and taunted me with them when he opened the door because I started chewing him out again about why I wasn't getting what I was asking for. You want this? You want this? He pulls it back from me. I said, oh, are we going to use food as a punishment now, Galvin? It was Deputy Galvin, and he's been there since 1992. Yeah. So I'm at my wit's end because this is fully a case of indefinite detention. I reminded everyone that they're holding me, even though the judge ordered me to be released on a PR bond, not when they decided to process me. Meanwhile, behind the scenes, I have a fabulous helper working with the ID Bureau to clear up all the bullshit that the Denver police created deliberately for the ID Bureau that processes your fingerprints and your background check to clear you from jail. See, that should be done in the amount of time that it takes to book you. But because the cops are dirty and corrupt, they know how to manipulate that system as well. So the ID Bureau had 4 people working on one little person in the Denver jail while Captain Adcock was flat out lying about there not being internet and them not processing people. See, it just goes on and on and on. I could just go on forever. But let me tell you what else I saw, okay? I'm very observant in that jail. I've been in that jail 3 times. Yeah, 3 times. But I have helped other people in jail. I've learned a lot about jail because when Sheriff Furman was sheriff in Denver, who he should still be, Denver made a very crucial mistake forcing him out and putting Diggins back in there because Furman made very, very good things happen at that jail. And I was very active in going to his sheriff's advisory board meetings, questioning policy, asking for change, questioning their accreditation process. I was very, very active, and he was very inviting and very responsive. He was a very good sheriff for Denver, and they ran him out. He's the one responsible for removing the $30 processing fee every time they throw you in jail for bullshit, right? That was all Furman, okay? So I've learned a lot about the Denver jail, and you need to pay attention. If you ever go to jail, you need to pay attention to how the weak and the vulnerable are being treated. The weakest, the sickest, and the vulnerable. I've said this about society as a whole. How we do that defines us as a whole, and we are failing miserably at this. So I'm watching everything go on, and the only person, okay, and I told you my story last time about my observations with people being targeted in that jail, okay? I'm not divisive. I am not on the Black Lives Matter bandwagon because they're not representing Black people. And I want to make that clear, okay? I saw bad things happen the last time I was in that jail in August. A Black man had been transferred from Adams County in the morning at like 4 o'clock, hadn't eaten. They'd given him no food. It was 2 o'clock in the afternoon, and he was politely asking for food. 4 fucking guards threw him in an isolation cell and made him sit in there. And then they eventually went and got another stupid little brown bag of puke and put it in the isolation cell and left him in there. Okay? That was one instance. This time, the only person in an isolation cell was another black man. Now, isolation cells should serve a purpose for safety. I get that, okay? I understand that. I want to be protected from violence in the jail. But this one little old black man in this isolation cell this time, it just reminded me of the Marvin Booker case, because I learned that the first time I was in that jail in 2013, I sat in the exact seat that Marvin Booker sat in. Okay? They killed that guy. They murdered him. And now Captain Adcock was involved in all of that. Okay? So I see this little black man sitting in this cell. He was very, very tall, super, super slender, skinny, aging. You could see the white in his hair, and he's just hanging his head in that cell. And I was watching and watching and watching. And eventually they brought him out of that isolation cell and took him over to booking to transfer him in. Remember, they didn't have any internet. They didn't have any way to do any of this, right? And I watched this man shuffle over there in his Adams County jail suit. This jail suit was filthy. It was filthy. They either had not given this man clean clothes, or they put him in something filthy on the way from the Adams County jail to the Denver jail. But his jail suit was filthy. And he sat down in the chair, and the woman who was booking him in, who's eating in between deciding to work or not, starts asking him questions, and he's completely confused. You can see it. You can recognize it. I work with people like this every day, okay? I know what's going on with mental health, with addiction, with these kinds of things. This man was so confused. He thought that if he gave this woman his address, that she would give him his clothes so he could go home. And he asked several times to go home. And you don't know how helpless it is to not be able to stand up and go help that guy. It's a complete feeling of hopelessness, okay? Those are the things that get me. What did that woman do that was processing him? She called the guards over to escort him by both arms back to his isolation cell and told him, no, you're not going home. You have to stay here. He hung his head, shuffled his feet back to that isolation cell, went in there, sat down. I later saw that man being shuffled down a different hall when I was in the isolation cell. Doing the same thing, just hanging his head, going all the way down the hall. I don't know. It's when you don't know what happens to those people. It grinds on you bad. I've had those experiences every time I've gone in that jail. So that was one observation. The other one, when I was sitting there waiting to finish, or waiting to be booked, and having already had an argument with Captain Adcock, Carrie Adcock, everything came to a halt. And all of a sudden there was all this drama and this posturing and this effect that something was bad was happening in the jail. And Carrie Adcock was calling her staff, and they were coming up behind her like good little soldiers, and they were marching over to the entrance of where they bring people into the jail. And there was this little tiny black woman over there. And I watched these three monstrous people. Carrie Adcock, she's a broad-shouldered gal, and let me tell you, with a nice little hitch in her hip. She's over there making this tiny little black woman who had hair about like mine, even longer, made her bend over and flip her hair over, and was sitting there picking her hair apart, strand by strand by strand by strand. Because she came in there on a drug charge. Because that little woman came back over to booking, came back over to where we were, where the women were, and sat down. She was quite pretty. I could tell she was not a hardcore user. So whatever she was doing out there, who knows? Hang on, everybody. She sat down and she announced, yeah, this is bullshit. Don't these motherfuckers know that I'm going to do drugs till the day I'm going to get high because that's what I want to do, right? She was doing her little protest. And I was like, yeah, good for you, girl. I wanted to ask her, did you hurt anybody in the process? I didn't want to start any shit. I didn't want her to get the wrong impression. She probably wouldn't have understood why I was asking that. She was emotional. And I said to myself, they just did that to her and her hair, but they didn't even touch my hair. They didn't even ask me to lift my hair. They didn't give a shit about what was in my bra. Do you know how many drugs I could have smuggled into that jail? How come I didn't get the same treatment? How come my hair didn't get picked apart? I don't know. Just another bothersome observation. Okay? Very, very bothersome. And I want to file a damn complaint. But apparently the Denver Sheriff's Department doesn't want to get back to me and let me know how that's going to happen. So, you know, that was my experience in jail. I was in jail for 9 hours this time. Last time, it was 15. And thank goodness that I had help to get out of jail. Because what the Denver Police Department did in that ID bureau, I would have never gotten out in 9 hours. It would have been another instance of me having to go in front of the judge the next day at some point. I've had some conversations with attorneys that have said, you know, Regan, because we've allowed this level of bureaucracy, the courts really have no problem with indefinite detention. If they go in there and it's, you know, under 72 hours, it's just really not a big deal. I'm sorry. A single minute of my freedom stolen by the government is a big fucking deal to me. And I intend to take it up because it needs to be taken up. Because if they're doing those things to me, you can rest assured that they're doing it 10 times worse to the vulnerable, the weak, and the sick. Okay? So, yeah, I'm going to probably shift some gears because I can represent in a different way now. Since Denver is intent to bury me for my speech, they're going to do it. Okay? There's just no way around it. And I cannot afford to be in jail. I cannot afford to keep going to jail. So I would ask people, what can you afford? Can you afford to step up just a little bit more? Because we've let this happen. I'm one person. I can't change what this city, what this mass government is going to do to these homeless out here. I can't change it. I can't stop it. I can only put it on blast. I can only represent each individual person out here as best as I possibly can. And that's what I'm going to continue to do. But what I can't continue to do is protest. Okay? Because our rights are deteriorating. They just are. Okay? And the 2 hours that I sat there and allowed them to process me as I sat in that isolation cell, I said to myself, Regan, it's coming. There will be a day you end up in here and you're not getting out. People like me, when we get thrown in a cage, we're the ones that aren't going to be getting out. We are this close. Okay? We are this close. Poindexter, yeah, I'm going to contact the ACLU. I'm going to do it. Look, I'm tough. You could throw me in. I'm not afraid, okay? Do I want to keep going to jail? Fuck no. District 4 did this to me back in 2013, the first time I was in jail. That's another thing that I haven't really discussed. They produced a warrant based on some bitch's story that I had assaulted her. Didn't happen, okay? A Jeffco cop and a Denver cop colluded and issued a warrant for me, and they had nothing. But I had to go sit in jail. I think all things happen for a reason. Ultimately, that case got dismissed, right? But it cost me thousands of dollars and a shit ton of time and blah, blah, blah. That was District 4. This is the only district in Denver that has done this to me, okay? Yes, District 3 took me to jail a couple of times. They have been complicit in the corruption. But District 4 has a history, okay? They have a really super bad history. And when I tell you that there's a badge number with 86 by the name of Chastain over there, there's your issue. Those are the guys that have continuously been able to get away with it, okay? So until they're going to clean house, if the Department of Public Safety is interested in that, I'm going to keep going to jail, okay? And financially, I can't afford it. And ultimately, physically and mentally, I'm not going to be able to afford it, okay? I do think these things are happening for a reason. It's so I can learn and grow and represent in different ways. I'm going to embrace that. I'm not going to stop helping people that ask me for help. I'll never stop doing that. But I have to shift focus for a little while. And I'd already started doing that back in August because the writing was on the wall. District 4 is not interested in arresting the individual that assaulted me. They're not interested in addressing violent crime because they're fucking cowards. And that makes things very, very dangerous out here. Regardless of what you think about the cops, we have them. We don't have a system of vigilante justice right now. I can't go to jail. My husband can't go to jail for trying to seek justice when we have a process right now that we are supposed to make work. So you either have to get off your ass and stand up for yourself and make these assholes do their job, or you better launch a very fast and swift movement to disband the police, unfund them, and start a new security organization, okay? But until then, this is what we have, people. And when I come out here and my women are telling me that these horrible things are happening to them, and I'm telling them we have to do this process, I'll support you through it. And then they see this happen to me. Do you think they're going to fucking ever seek justice? No, they're not. I can't stop that. I can't change it unless we start blowing up other issues. Hey, Denver, you want to put a warning label on me in your arrest warrant that I'm a caution needed because I'm a 1A auditor? You're going to see a 1A auditor, and I will kick your ass all over the fucking place because I am really good at that shit.
super good at it. You are just now in a position where your corruption is being supported by trying to stop me from hurting your fucking feelings. You're going to see a 1A auditor like you've never fucking seen before. And you're going to regret it because it's going to expose more corruption in that jail, in those policies around the jail, around the entire police department, the administration. I'm not stupid. I am not a stupid person. My goal is to help the individual that is weak and struggling. You fuckers aren't struggling. You're just corrupt. I don't give a fuck how you want to live your life. I care what you're doing to these people. And that's what I want to change. So I was called to address it a different way for a while. So that's what's going to happen. Doesn't mean I'm going to disappear. But while I'm in this position to be called to do what I'm doing, get ready, because you're going to see a 1A auditor. Yeah, Poindexter, the ACLU in Denver. I've communicated with them before. They actually did a very wonderful thing many years ago and represented my son, who was arrested in front of his high school in Jefferson County for wearing a No Obama sticker at a Michelle Obama rally. His choice, and was arrested for it. So, yeah, the ACLU, depending on who the staff attorneys are in the local offices, can be phenomenal. These are the things they're supposed to stand up for. So, yes, thank you for the reminder, because I'm going to enlighten the ACLU on that. So that's the gist of where everything is. And that's all I'm going to do to talk about it right now, because I got a lot of other things to do. But I know people were wondering. You have all been very wonderful and supportive, but I would just ask that you step up your level of activism in supporting me and shift it to where you can really affect some change in government, because we are in a lot of trouble. We are in a lot of trouble. Who is over the chief and captain of the Denver Police Department? Elected or appointed? That's excellent. Appointed. So the city and county of Denver is its own charter. Okay. Those are all appointed positions. The chief of the fire department, the sheriff, and the chief of police. They are appointed positions. So the people really have absolutely no say. There has been some movement within city council to change some of the appointments that the mayor is allowed to make. I'm not exactly real precise on what that is. It might be more procedural stuff versus people. But right now, the mayor has full control. And this mayor has long needed to go, okay? By the mayor. They're appointed by the mayor. Yes, Alan, thank you very, very much. Please donate to Helping Hands for Dignity Coalition. It is much appreciated. I have so many emails that I need to respond to. There's been a lot of communication about things via email, and I thank you all. I have read pretty much all of those emails. I just have not had a chance to sit down and respond to them. Let me just finish up with the story about the jail and how I ended up leaving, because there is another piece to this. So as I'm sitting there contemplating all those things in my mind, right, that I described to you, what I just witnessed, all the emotions, the feelings. Yes, I feel. I am a person. I am a real person. You do start to go, okay, am I going to die in here? And me, of course, I pick up these booking papers and I continue to read them, and because I'm making an issue where it says directly that I'm entitled to a hard copy of my inmate handbook, I'm reading all the little subsections of mental health and all this stuff that they say, just our basic rules and procedure of the jail. And I keep focusing on the mental health paragraph, and it's talking about if you feel feelings of hopelessness, severe agitation, aggression, suicide, and it lists these feelings. You should immediately tell a guard, and mental health services are provided free of charge. Mental health services and evaluations are provided free of charge. Okay? So I'm at the point where I'm either going to continue to raise hell through my active protest for the next who knows how many hours, I'm going to lose my mind, or I'm going to ask for mental health help. So I asked Galvin, my main guard, hey, Galvin, I need to talk to mental health. And he made a joke out of it. You talked to him already when they walked by here earlier. I said, bullshit. That girl told me she was a counselor. She didn't tell me she was from mental health. And I told her to counsel her way into figuring out how to get me a goddamn inmate handbook. And she fucking walked off. I said, I want to talk to mental health. And he laughed. And he said, stop them when they come by. And walked off. I guarantee you that the staff was in close contact with Galvin. And he let the staff know, the administrative staff, Miss Benson wants to talk to mental health. And I guarantee you the administrative staff said, you better do your fucking job and make sure she gets mental health access. So lo and behold, here comes Galvin 5 minutes later, knocking on the glass. Mrs. Benson, mental health will be down here to see you shortly. Great. I want to see how mental health can help me process my feelings of hopelessness right now. Mental health services are free. Mental health evaluations are free. I want to access my services. And I wasn't fucking kidding. Okay? How did Galvin know that I wasn't contemplating suicide at that point? Because I was telling him, you're dehydrating me. You're starving me. Oh, and then there's this little piece about them spraying bleach. I honestly thought that somebody came and sprayed bleach under my door. I had to sit with my head over my shirt because my throat literally swelled up. I got an instant headache and my ears started ringing. And I was yelling for Galvin, and I made him come over and tell me, what's the fucking deal with the bleach? I said, is it coming through the vents? We just sprayed it. Well, guess what? They're spraying toxic levels of bleach in that jail while people are sitting in freaking disgusting ass scum-laden holding cell. You can just see it everywhere. It's filthy. And they're spraying bleach in the air. Okay, so that was that issue. So back to the mental health issue. Within about 10 minutes, this nice woman, and I'm not going to name her because I'm actually going to write a commendation for her. She was younger. She came down and she started to try to talk to me through the door with Galvin standing behind her. I couldn't hear half the shit anyway that was being said through the door, okay? I said, no, I'm not doing this way. This is a violation of my HIPAA rights. I want to talk to her in a correct setting, and you're not going to stand here. He opened the door, and she stood in the doorway, and I think Galvin went out of my sight, but he was still there. And I said to this nice lady, look, I want to understand how you can help me address this feeling of hopelessness since I can't get an inmate handbook. They're trying to starve me, dehydrate me, spray bleach all over me, and no one can tell me when I'm getting out of here. And no one will recognize that this is indefinite detention. How can you help me with feelings of hopelessness? And so she started to back up and asked me, a few things about why I was in there, how it became that I had my nonprofit. But what was most spectacular about her, she wanted to understand the person way before that. She wanted to understand where it was that I knew we were not doing a good job representing our most weak, vulnerable, and sickest, the homeless population. And at that point, I knew that I had connected with a real person, okay? And I told her the story. And I started to cry. because it was rough. And I saw her look over and she said, okay. And then she came back to our conversation and she said, Regan, they're releasing you. I said, good. Can I finish the story? She said, of course. And she sat there and listened to me for probably another 5 minutes. The door was open. I got up. We walked out together. She walked me over to this area where I need to go to. And I said to Galvin, I looked back at him, I said, are you going to retire anytime soon? And he just kept looking forward, never turned around and looked at me again. He said, yeah, I got 3 more years. I said, holy shit, I'm sorry. So I left. But guess what? I was back down at the jail the next morning because I was on the docket for courtroom 2100, which is in the jail. And I wasn't going to let them set me up for an FTA. So I showed up for court over at the jail the next morning by 9 o'clock. I left there at 8 o'clock that night, 8:30. Was back down there by myself at 9 o'clock in the morning because I had to go to court. So I go back in there and proceed to get kicked out because I won't wear a mask in the lobby of the jail. And a deputy literally ran from out behind the glass to stop me from going up the stairs into the courtroom. After I had already made it clear that I knew I only had to wear a mask in the courtroom, and that's where I would wear the fucking mask. Now get out of my way. Are you detaining me? His answer was no. Are you going to use force on me if I go past you? No, but you're not getting past me. Then he told me to leave. Then I tried to go over to the administration office where he ran in front of me and told the woman, no, don't let her in. Don't let her in. Right? And then another deputy came over and handed me the piece of paper to call into court, which I didn't think we were doing anymore, Denver. I thought we all had to show up to court. So we're still doing virtual court? Okay, well, that's stupid. So I take the piece of paper and I go sit down. And I said, go call your supervisor. I'm not putting a mask on. Guess who comes out? Sergeant Kellick from the night before, who had refused to identify himself the night before in booking. Now he's back out in front of my face with a mask on, telling me that I got to put a mask on. I said, no, I don't. And he looked at the other guard and he said, come on, let's just go. And they left me sitting there. Okay? I never wore a mask anywhere at any time while I was in jail. That was another thing Adcock and I got in an argument about. She tried to tell me, oh, so you know all of our policies in the jail? Yeah, I pretty much do. Oh, well, you're violating one right now by not wearing a mask. That's how they try to get you to respond so they can kick your ass. That's what they do in jail. I said, then give me my fucking inmate handbook and let me see where it is in the policy. And she goes stomping off. This is what happens when you stand up for your rights and you don't allow them to violate you. I'm not weak. I'm not vulnerable. And I'm not sick. But there are lots of people in there that are. And they're fucking with them. If they'll fuck with me like that, don't tell me that they're not doing worse things to people in there. So ultimately for court, the next morning, after they told me to leave, I wasn't going to leave, but I logged on to court and I thought, you know what? They're going to call the fucking cops on me. They're going to try to get me charged for failure to obey a lawful order or some fucking horse shit. So I made sure I could log on into this courtroom, and I could. And I got up and I walked out of the building on my own accord and stood out in front of that entrance and made sure that I could log into court while they locked the doors. They locked the doors to the general public in and out of the jail. They were locking people inside of the lobby. Inside of the lobby. Ultimately, the fire department showed up because they were violating fire code. And I also know that the Denver Sheriff's Department has a lot of fire code violations in that building. Ultimately, I was never called in court. I learned that both of my court dates for that particular courtroom had been, both of my court times for that particular day had been vacated. So I left. But this is what I'm talking about, people. One man came up to me after I got up and walked out of there. I'd followed him in the building, and he came out. He complied with doing everything because he had to get to bonding. He was trying to get somebody out of jail. So he was complying with everything. I was ordered into the building to go to court. I don't have to comply with wearing a mask. I'll wear it in the fucking courtroom. That's it. Because that's the only thing the judge has authority over. Charge me. Give me a ticket. I'll fight that one too. You're not going to have medical decision making over my fucking body. It's been a long couple days. Pull the fire alarm? No, I wouldn't do that. I wouldn't do that because that would cause chaos and people would have gotten hurt because they couldn't have gotten out of that building. And that's a true story. It's a true story. If there would have been an actual fire or a serious emergency in that building that people needed to evacuate that building, there would have been a lot of hurt people because they would have been tripping and falling because the doors were locked. They would have been trapped in the lobby area or in the foyer area. And they control the locks of those doors from behind the glass where the guards sit when you enter the jail. And so they stationed some stupid little third-party security girl to be the door monitor while they sat behind the glass and flipped the switch to let people in or out. Pretty soon the deputies were opening and closing the door, and I told them, I said, quit doing this shit. It's obvious I'm not fucking coming back in. Stop making everybody suffer. This is a fire code violation. Somebody's gonna get hurt. And they're like, just assholes, just total incompetent assholes. After this little Vietnamese guard is chasing me all over the goddamn lobby, trying to stop me from going to court. I asked him, am I detained? Are you going to arrest me? Are you going to use force on me? It was the dumbest shit show you could. Bottom line, so about this man that followed me in and came back out shortly after I did, he congratulated me, high-fived me, told me how beautiful I was for standing up for myself and that he'd recorded every bit of it. I said, get on YouTube, make a channel, and publish that shit. Show everybody. It's the same old, same old. I have the best cheerleaders in the world. But when it comes to actually standing up, I'm going to be really honest. It's pretty rare. It's pretty rare. Yeah, the news would be all over that. Yeah, they likely would. So listen, that's what I'm talking about being a 1A auditor. You want to slap a warning label on me about being a 1A auditor? You better remember all the elements of the First Amendment, Denver. Every single one of those elements of the First Amendment, you better think long and hard on. Because it ain't just about coming and exercising your rights to record your interactions with the police. I'm a little bit excelled at the activist world. Thank you, Donald. And I never really tag myself as an auditor. I just don't. I get in auditing situations because of being taken to certain times and places of events, but I don't seek out to go see if government is going to allow me to record in public. That's the tagline for a 1A auditor in the YouTube world and the social media platform. You can be a 1A auditor in any form or fashion. Truly. because there are several very important pieces of the First Amendment. You could move to Texas or Florida. Let's see these people marinate in their own. Yeah, they definitely have their own thing going on. I love Florida, but there is a whole faction of hefty authoritarianism there as well. I love the weather there. I think if I moved to Florida, I would call it quits and sit on the beach all day, because the only thing I really take interest in Florida is shelling and listening to the ocean. So that's where I would have to be if I were to go to Florida. Texas, forget that shit. That will never happen. I'm never moving to Texas. There's nothing there that interests me. Nothing. Ellie, are you still in here? Did I do okay? What did I forget? Do we really need to hit anything harder? I mean, that's just my raw speech for today. My raw recollection of events for the last 2 days. Manatees. I love the manatees. Thanks, Jen. I appreciate it. And so are you. We each have a role in what we're doing here. And things wouldn't have happened the way they did on Tuesday to get me out of jail had everyone not done what they'd done. So I did awesome. Okay, Ellie. Thank you. I think I finally recovered enough to be able to articulate the finer details of what happened. So again, come on over to Florida. I want to. I really do. Eat your broccoli. Thank you very, very much. I owe you a response. I read it. I appreciate it. You have no idea how deep it made me think. I will respond. I promise. Come to London. You're welcome. I've never even left the country. I need to, don't I? I need to get a little better traveled, don't I? I need to get a little more cultured. That's what I need. I need to see other culture. MA, thank you. MD, thank you. Still got a lot of things to do. And let me just tell you, right before I was taken to jail on Tuesday, one of my 74-year-old friends that lives out here on the street was in the hospital. And the reason she got taken to the hospital is because I called for medical for her on Monday. And I had to sit in jail and wonder what was going on with that. It's a very intense situation. And I need to get back to it. So I will be continuing to help people. And I will be continuing to film the police. I don't have to. It's in my best interest, after discussions with my attorneys, that Regan, stop hurting their feelings. You're too vocal. You're too harsh. Now, we're not telling you to silence your speech, but they are. And they want to pile on these cases to bury you. And we have to be careful, Regan, because we each only have so much bandwidth. So I wasn't told directly to stop hurting their feelings. That was the indirect end to the conversation, because that's really what it boils down to. These cops are tired of being ousted for their bullshit. They're getting caught on camera, and this is how people end up dead. Okay? We know this. The writing is on the wall. The red flags are there. Look what John Shaw did. Look what they're doing. I mean, District 4 has this long, long history. Those are killer cops, because they don't have a functioning brain. So when they take it personally and they really get their feelings hurt over being told they have a shriveled dick, you're dealing with a very vulnerable cop with a propensity for intense violence. That's what you're dealing with. Florida's passing laws that are turning time back 50 years right now. As in what, MD? I'm curious. I don't like to go down huge philosophical rabbit hole discussions, but that's a problem. That's what the attorneys are for. Yeah, Jason, that's fine, but you got to remember, we're talking about civil rights attorneys here, okay? Criminal defense attorneys aren't well versed on how to argue these cases because all of this statute and code, municipal code, is unconstitutional to begin with. So you have to have a very specialized attorney to be able to argue these cases because it is the higher level, okay? Yes, it just is municipal court or silly misdemeanor state charges, but it's not, you're never going to convince a jury with a criminal defense attorney. And civil rights attorneys right now, we are hurting bad, really bad. They're cutting funding for programs for immigration, children, abortions, and it's okay to run over protesters. Yeah, no, it's not okay to run over protesters. You kind of mentioned some things that the government shouldn't be involved in my humble opinion, as a libertarian that would like to peel back the layers of government. If we're not going to continue to hold government accountable, which we can't, it's been proven. Look, we've subscribed to this two-party system for how long now? And everything's just as out of control, and more so as time goes on. So government is malevolent. It destroys nearly everything it touches. So cutting funding, yeah. They don't spend the funding correctly anyway. Look what Denver's doing with the homeless. They're pocketing the money. Shit is not getting done. So that's why I am a constant ask of private charity. Okay? I don't ask government for permission. I don't need to. The people don't need to ask government permission to make their own medical decisions, and the government doesn't need to be paying for it. I'm sorry, that's my position. I'm not sorry, but we might not agree on some of those things, but that's why I tend not to go down the philosophical rabbit hole, because as long as we're going to subscribe to this two-party system, nothing's going to change. So I don't want to argue with people. I don't want to dissuade people from doing the right thing. And from recognizing the individual versus some collaboration of using some form of government to grant people rights. That's not me. Never will be. Okay? That's why we're having this conversation right now, because we've let government do this to us. And I'm done with that. So cutting funding, and they choose how much they fund themselves. Yeah. But stop funding the government. DeSantis is horrible for Florida. Huh. Well, I've heard him say and do some good things. I'm going to be honest with you. As far as this pandemic, DeSantis has had it right the whole time. That's where I'm at with that. As far as those other things, yes, I know he's a bootlicker. He loves his cops. I know he does. And he obviously isn't, much into holding them accountable. So, hey, Brian, thank you very, very much. Giving people the right to choose to wear a mask is not tyranny. Yeah, you're correct. Yeah, you're very correct in that. Yeah. Yes, I know who David Lane is. TK Teller. And in fact, his firm, and his firm only, right now, Andy McNulty included, is all Colorado has for the best civil rights attorneys in the state. And that's fact. So Yes, Justin Pulliam is doing sterling work. Yes, he is. He does do very, very good work. Yeah, Ghost. Thanks. Everyone knows who David Lane is in Colorado. Well, but I think Mr. David Lane is kind of taking it easy in his old age. And rightfully so. Okay? Rightfully so. Smash that like button. Thank you very much, you guys. So I'll retitle this video and do the recap of my arrest as well. Giving private businesses the right to decide, not tyranny. Amen. Thank you. I understand the protester one. It's if you're being attacked when in your car. Yeah, there's been some cases over that. Okay, there was one here in Colorado as well. And yeah, I'm not going to comment anymore. I'm not going to comment on that anymore. Because I don't want to start an unnecessary debate on that. So yes, Ghostwriter, we should recap about the illegal signage placed over on Tennessee from the night of the snowstorm on February 1st that the cops were illegally trying to enforce. That's kind of the crux of where all of this got started. I mean, District 4 was pulling some corrupt bullshit with me long before that night, but yes, Denver, you've been caught. You are not following your code of ordinances by your own damn city processes to place signage, and you've been caught, and it's documented, and I'm super hopeful that we're going to find attorney representation that's going to take that on a bigger scale, and perhaps the ACLU might be interested in that as well, Poindexter, and because that's how they're targeting the homeless that are parked on the streets. They're just plopping up some signage, and we're going to go out there and enforce it in the middle of the night when no one's watching, because we know we're pulling some bullshit. Nobody will catch us, and boom, we're done. No, they're getting caught, and you got caught because of activists and 1A auditors. So, Ghostwriter, thank you very much for doing all of that legwork on those records requests. And yeah, I look forward to exposing that a little bit more. Put District 4 on notice, qualified immunity notice. Look, okay, I want to just briefly talk about this qualified immunity thing here in Colorado. You guys, really, it's not what you're saying it is. They still have qualified immunity here, okay? They're only responsible for $25,000. So if a case were to end up in federal court, okay, that's when they lose $25,000 in qualified immunity. We still have protected qualified immunity for cops in the state of Colorado. Okay. Yeah, would it be great to see about, 150 cops at once have to give up $25,000? Yeah, it'd be fantastic. It's a little tiny, needle in a haystack towards the right direction. So, but yeah, qualified immunity would matter in federal court only, you guys, okay? Got to get through a lot of steps to get to federal court. There is a lot of process. So you're right, DJ, it is a start. You're very correct. Hey, Ghostwriter, Alan B is asking, when's the interview coming out that we did the other day that you put together? The Denver police seem to violate their own ordinances, policies, procedures. Oh, yeah. Shit, they don't even follow their own damn policies. I'd go over to District 4 right now, and they'll run a stop sign with me sitting right there. They don't give a shit. Hey, DMA. We were just talking about District 4 here, and then I did a recap of what's gone on in the last couple of days. You might want to go back and watch it. It's decent information. Those of you that were filming with me over in the District 4 lobby, continue to do your warrant checks, but know that District 4 is likely got a pocket warrant for you somewhere. I mean, I think you probably are already aware of that. Hold on. Hello. This is she. So I'm talking to a medical professional right now who's telling me that a homeless person needs to make better decisions so they can stay in the hospital to get the appropriate care that they need. Is that what you're telling me? No, I heard you say that she needed to spend her money different. You know what? I'm going to come up there and I want to talk to somebody at Porter because I'm done with this bullshit. What's your name? What's your name? No. What's your name? Hung up. So that has to do with my friend that's in the hospital. That's another separate issue that I was talking about, you see. Porter hates the homeless. I need this well documented. Porter Hospital absolutely hates the homeless. They don't think that they are obligated to give them the proper medical treatment. Now, if they go over to Swedish, they get a different set of doctors and treatment plans, but not at Porter. I didn't want my friend to go to Porter Hospital, and I asked the Denver ambulance crew to take her over to Swedish, and they essentially looked at me and went and drove off. Okay, so I got to go because I got to go deal with this issue up at Porter Hospital. So hopefully somebody doesn't get their feelings hurt and call the cops on me. So you should know that Porter Hospital is in District 3 of the Denver Police Department. And I'm going to go up there right now and deal with this situation. I expect that since they're telling me they're going to discharge my friend to the street and that she must continue to do appropriate care for herself out here, we're going to hear from the social worker that they provided her with appropriate wraparound services. Okay, so I have to recollect my thoughts now and be on my way. So thank you, everyone. And please have a good day and do something good for someone, please. Take care.